Morning. Welcome to our solo walk. Oh, this is a little overcast day here. Anyway, this is kind of my wake-up call. Maybe a wake-up call for you guys too, but I always think, and maybe I will pass this thought on too, is that at what point do people open their eyes and wake up, see what's going on? For me, I see things a lot different, I suppose, and the majority of people of society, and that just because once you realize things and see things, you can't unsee them, but for me, I keep thinking, like, what's it going to take? At what point do people start to open their eyes and see what's going on? At what point do you realize that this is a parasitic system, and all it is sucking your life force and your energy out of you? At what point do you realize that the people that think they are leaders of governments and are in positions that tell you what you must do, at what point do you realize that they're just parasites, also just sucking energy out of the system for themselves? At what point do we realize that it's up to us, and that at what point do we accept that fact? And how bad does it have to get before more people open their eyes and see what's going on and that? And I look around and I realize it's took me 67 years to get to this point, almost 68 now, to get to this point, and to start to understand the system and that. But not that to realize that this is all sowing and reaping. These two little trees right here, that plum tree there and this little apple tree, if you take a look, there's a couple little apples coming there and that, and if we can find it, there's a couple little plums coming on this tree and that. And sometimes I can't even see them, and there's one in there if you can see it, and just a little plum coming. There's 3 or 4 coming on that little tree. But I look at things like that and realize that it's all sowing and reaping. The system has sown deceit and lies to civilization for millennia, and it's become ingrained in our systems. It's become ingrained in our being, that we believe that we need these parasites to lead and guide us. And I'm not against some form of organization. and that but somebody to rule over you and tell you what you do and what you can't do. And don't be deceived by the idea that we're a democracy and that we voted them in. That's all part of the illusion. You have very little choices. You can choose, but you can only choose from what they tell you can choose from, and that. So yeah, but like I said, it's sowing and reaping, and that they've been sowing their lies and everything. If you really start to look at things from the 40,000 foot view, start to try to understand the game that's being played with humanity and civilization, and it's all a game, and not to suck your life forces. I truly, the way I see it, I understand it that way, and I don't expect you to look at things the same way I do, but I do hope that you would actually start just to look at things and realize that things aren't the way that they've told you they are, and that but like I said, those little trees, and that they were planted 5-6 years ago from a seed, and they shot up. We picked them up 3-4 years ago, and that they were 3-4 feet tall, so they're a year or two old at that point. We planted them, we nurtured them as much as we could, and give them what we could, and put them in fertile ground, and they grew, and they're just starting to bear fruit now. That's 3-4 years we've had them planted, and this is the first they've bore any kind of fruit, and just a little bit, and but it's a good analogy for me in that, because I sometimes look around, and like I said, it took me 68 years to get to this point, so 67, but I look around and I say, well, what the fuck, people? Like, can you not see it? Can you not understand what's happening? But again, it's sowing and reaping, and sometimes you can just plant a seed, and it'll take years to mature. It'll take years to bear fruit, and sometimes you might not even be around to see the fruit it bears. So that smile, that act of kindness, that compassionate hug, telling somebody that they're worthy, that they're loved, that there's more to life than competing. That the story that you got to keep up with the Joneses, and you got to get this and you got to get that to be happy, is all stories. I've just walked around our yard. There's some of the garden and stuff coming. Just walk around the yard, show you the natural beauty, and if we can just get to the point where we realize we don't need to control everything. We have these parasites wanting to control weather, wanting to control climate, wanting to control you, wanting to control food, and that. And I've come to the understanding that if we just keep our hands out of nature, keep our hands off of Gaia, that she can look after herself, she can look after us more efficiently than these elites can with their fake foods and poisons that they're putting into air, water, food. You know, they've pretty much controlled the food supply, the water supply. They're trying to control the air supply now. It all comes down to, I think, you know, that you can go back to the 50s and the 40s and the eugenics movements and how they've rebranded eugenics and stuff, but it's all population control, people control. These parasitic idiots are, like I said, all they're after is your energy, your life force, really. They just keep taking and telling you that you need them, that you're nothing without them, is the basic story. And we've fell for that. And I think maybe it's time for us to maybe start taking back that responsibility. Start to understand that I am. We don't need somebody else, something else to come save us. You know, these government institutions, these parasites, they all tell you that I have the plan, I'm going to fix it, I've got this. And, well, the only thing they got is the will to control and the desire for power. And I think the ones you see are just a small fraction of the ones, well, maybe not small fraction, but they're just peons too. They've bought into the game too, that they're more than what they are. You know, that they can look after you, or that they're here to look after you, to guide you. They're not. You are the answer. I am the answer. It starts with me, starts with you. And just, again, you know, it comes down to the sowing and reaping, planting. So just plant some love, plant some kindness, smile, give somebody a hug. You know, everybody's looking for the answer. It's simple. I really think it is. Just get back to who we really are. Start to understand that you are so much more than what we've been told. And realize that they've been planting the seeds of deceit for millennia. And now it's time for humanity, for civilization, for you, for me, to take back our rightful place and to experience this reality, this simulation, whatever you want to call it, but this earth, this place we're inhabiting. Experience it, enjoy it, love each other, and let's, you know, I can't remember the song or the band and that, but it says, this is the world we live in, and these are the hands we're given. So let's start trying to make it a place worth living in. Let's do that. Anyway, reach out, give your loved ones a hug. Tell them they're loved. Look in the mirror, tell yourself you got this. Know that you're loved. And I hope you enjoyed our little walk around the yard to enjoy the beauty of nature, of Gaia, of life. And maybe, just maybe, we can start to all start to connect back with Gaia, connect with each other, and make this a place worth living in. Anyway, love yous. Have a great day. Be blessed. And we'll talk at you again. Bye-bye.